Hey there, this is John from the Midway Mercantile, back for another cooking session during the coronavirus quarantine, hoping to bring a little bit of light and fun into all of our lives while we are sitting at home. And today we're going to make a favorite dish from the Midway Mercantile. This is the Panko crusted fresh Alaskan halibut. Season has just begun. We are going to serve it with a yellow curry. It's got a sesame apple chutney on top. We're going to have our coconut rice, some sauteed spinach. And here's how we do it. So, what we're going to start out with is taking you through how we make our curry and how we make the chutney. But first I want to mention the people that are here with me in the kitchen today. As I have said before, there's always some people helping me in my mind as I go through this stuff. And today there's Eric and Ian who helped develop this recipe. There's Karen who loves it so much at the restaurant that she overwhelms me every time she wants it, which is so great. But most of all, I got my mom with me today because back when I was a kid in the 60s and early 70s, curry was this elusive new thing. And my mom was an amazing cook who taught me lots and lots about cooking and lots about eating. And it was really, I remember we would have curry, and God knows how she made it back then, but I remember there were all these ingredients to go with it. And you had some coconut, and you had some diced apples, and basically what you had was sweet, spicy, salty things that would go on top of it and get mixed into it. So that's what we're going to do today. So I've got a new camera person today, my good friend Marsh, and we're going to start out by kind of getting a little look at what all we're cooking with today. So to make our curry, we've got lots of coconut milk. We've got some onions, jalapenos, garlic, ginger, lime zest, and then this is our curry paste and a little brown sugar and some turmeric. Then a little bit later on, I'm going to take you through the chutney, and there are red and green apples. We're going to have some sesame oil, some lime juice, some rice vinegar. We've got a little bit of savoriness there with cinnamon and nutmeg. Got some brown sugar, more lime, and some ginger in there. So let's start by cooking up some curry. So good bit of oil in there. We'll get it good and hot. When we make it at the restaurant, we use a dish pan that we call the Rondo. That is a huge pan that covers 4 commercial burners. It's only about this tall on the side and allows us to do some major cooking. We are, during the coronavirus time, doing less sales at the restaurant, just takeout. So I'm going to do a half batch of this. So I am going to add in here for starters my onion and jalapeno. And while that's going on, as this is kind of cooking, I'm going to talk you through this chutney. So what I did was I diced up these apples so they're fairly small because they're going to be sitting on top of that halibut at the end. So we're going to mix those together in this bowl. And this is some fresh squeezed lime juice, some sesame oil, and some rice vinegar. Let's see, we'll try mixing this up with this. We're going to put some brown sugar in there. We'll put some cinnamon and nutmeg. And happily, when you put all this stuff in there, the apples don't ever turn brown because they've got some acid in there with them. So we'll put some ginger, Some lime zest. Apple will give up a little bit of moisture, and this guy is a nice thing to make ahead. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add my ginger and my garlic to this. And, you know, there are people who make curry from scratch. I'm all in favor of that. But I don't think we're that talented. So we buy some yellow curry paste, and but we just augment it with a little bit of extra stuff. Smells pretty good, right, Mark?
It sure does.
Yeah. Love it. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of salt and pepper into this. And let's see how that tastes. Well, it's extra exciting because I used this spoon to scrape out the seeds of the jalapeno peppers. So it's a pretty spicy spoon right now. I'm going to add just a little bit more sesame oil, and we've got ourselves some nice chutney that when we put it all together, you'll see it. Okay, so liking how that looks. We'll throw some curry paste in there. We'll cook that briefly. The curry paste is made of lots of good things that benefit from getting a little bit toasted in the process here. So in my halibut, thanks to the wonders of editing, we're not going to do all of this dish in one sitting, but it'll look like it when we actually serve it to you. So the halibut is out of season during the winter. They fish for it up in Alaska, and I love fresh fish, and I hate frozen fish. Nobody can convince me, even my friend Dave, that frozen halibut is ever going to be like fresh. Frozen halibut is like a sponge, soaks up all that moisture, and when you freeze it, and when you thaw it, and you cook it, it's just a soggy mess. But with the advent of late March, we have now got fresh halibut starting in the pipeline, and that tells us that things are going to get better. Okay, so now we're going to throw a whole bunch of curry, a bunch of coconut milk in there. Yeah, that's strong. And I'm just going to let that cook for a while. I'm going to add to it brown sugar and turmeric. And the turmeric will help give it a little bit more of a yellow color. And, you know, a good curry ought to have a certain sweetness to it, but it also ought to have that limey tang to it. And when we get all done with this, what we'll end up doing is running it through our blender. And we've got a very powerful blender so that it will take all those chunks and make it a nice, smooth, golden yellow sauce. Time for just a little sip. That's going to be delicious with this curry. We're back, and you'll notice that our curry has gotten much more beautiful. Now it's been pureed, and I did add a little bit of turmeric, which we always add to it, and that adds that nice golden color that ought to be there. And now what we're going to do is we are going to cook this dish. So, I will admit to you that last night I had to do a little sampling, and man, it is a beautiful thing when the halibut is back in season. Ah, it's such a great fish. And last night I poached it, and Jack even said, I love this. So what we've got is some halibut that we've taken the skin off of, and then I marinated in a little bit of buttermilk. That helps the panko hold, and it also helps keep the fish nice and tender. So we're going to put some oil in here, a decent amount, because we are going to be frying it. And what we're going to do is pan sear this, and then it's going to go into the oven. So we'll take this nice piece of halibut, and today I am going to do both a panko crusted one and a corn flour crusted one. So we've got a gluten-free option as well as a gluten-full option. And this dish has no dairy, no gluten if you go corn flour, and so it meets most people's allergy demands. All right, so we're just gonna turn that over. And now I'm just going to do it just right. I'm going to give that another moment to get hot. And thinking again about my friend Karen, who we're going to hopefully see this weekend, who will send me a big post and say, oh my gosh, John, I love that. I can't wait to have it. All right, so we've got a pretty hot pan going right here. All we're going to do is set that right into there. Good sizzle, that's what we're looking for. And a good sizzle. All right. And all we're going to do is get a little crust on these guys, flip them, and then they're going to go into the oven, a nice hot oven, to finish cooking. And I'll take care of the rest of the dish at that point. Curry simmering away. Oh, I smell it. You smell it, Marsh?
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's nice. Give that a moment, and then I'm going to go into the oven with it. All right, let's take it to the oven. Slide that in there, and it'll work. Nice. And meanwhile, we're going to saute up some spinach. And I have to say, we make darn good spinach. And to me, the secret is, we're going to have a little oil in the pan. We've got just some nice baby spinach in its leaf form. And we're going to hit it with just a little bit of veg stock, a little bit of wine if you care to, don't have to, salt and pepper, and that alone does the job. And it is really a beautiful color and taste complement to this dish. So we'll get that pan hot real fast. Again, you've heard me talk about these nice French saute pans, nice and thin, so they conduct the heat right up there. They get nice and hot and do the job better than anything out there. Maybe that's what I'm going to do, is go into business selling those. Actually start making some money in my life. Okay, so I'm going to throw a bunch of spinach in here because I'm going to have 2 orders worth. spinach sure cooks down a good bit. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. A little bit of veg stock. Practically ready. A little bit of wine. And that's really all there is to it. We'll set that aside before it goes completely away. And then, I think we're probably about ready here. So what you can see is some beautiful fish. I'm going to give it a little touch. Yeah, that's good. So now it's lost that rubberiness that would say that it is still in its uncooked state. You know, an uncooked piece of fish you can't pull apart, whereas when it gets cooked, then it starts to flake away. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a nice ladle of this curry in the bottom. Okay. We'll put some rice on top of that. So. Fish. On top of that, part of what I love, and I think everybody loves about this dish, is that halibut is a beautiful, mild, light textured fish, but by having that panko crust, you add a little texture to it. I'm going to put a little spinach around on each side here. Because we've got to have our veggies. Go. All right. And I was thinking about my mama and how we would have all these toppings to put on. So we've got our chutney. Never get those guys at the restaurant to put enough on there. See a little bit of ginger strands running through that. Okay. I got thinking about one of the things we always did was nuts. So I'm going to throw a little bit of cashews on there. And the coconut is actually in the rice. So coconut rice, I just cook it. About half the liquid is coconut milk, half the liquid is water, and that's going to give it that kind of gentle background of coconut flavor. And then we'll just put a little bit of green onion on top of that. And that is what we're going to be doing for Easter weekend at the restaurant. So you can order this Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and hope you enjoy it. Let's eat, Marsh.